All right, all right, all right. Oh man. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the Solana ecosystem. My name is Bison, aka BisonTrades on Twitter. If we haven't met yet, damn glad to meet you. We are here back with back with another episode of RareFUD Radio, episode 11. We are in double digits now. If you missed the last one, it was a good one. We had our first episode with a guest on, Litecoin Yagami, who came through with some heat, held it down while Joe was gone. But we do have Joe back this time, so we are very excited to get back into our routine. On this episode, we will be covering a ton of stuff. So, one, we have the controversy going on with Magic Eden times Coral Cube, which was a random person to pull in, but whatever. I will let them have that marketplace. Talking about Meta Shield, talking about what they're going to do for creators when it comes to the NFTs. We also talk about Lotus Game. We talk about fundraising, what happened with Doodles, and why Solana NFTs are probably heading that way, given the flippening, since we now have more volume, more transactions, more users over on the Solana ecosystem. It's exciting times here. And as always, I am joined by my hosts. Let's bring on Dorian first. Dorian, how you doing, my man?
Yo. Happy to be back for another episode. Like I always say, every day's holiday, man. So I'm happy to be here.
Oh, yes. It's never work, bro. It's always fun to be here. And we are, of course, joined by our third co-host. It is so good to have him back. Let's bring on Joe Soul. How you doing, my man?
Yo, glad to be back, guys. So happy to be
Welcome
here.
back, fam.
Yes, let's go. We're in it to win it now.
We are
Came
happy
back
to
stronger.
have you back.
Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, baby.
That's right. You were down and out, dude. It's very rare to see Joe down and out. He's usually 110%. So, yeah, I'm glad to see you're
bad, worse than my portfolio, man.
Yeah, those CPI numbers came out, man, and it was not a fun morning for anything, really. I mean, we were expecting to beat CPI. We did not. I kind of guessed we weren't. Really, the only thing that was like, maybe we beat it was gas price. Gas price has been down lately, but CPI just absolutely wreaked havoc across all markets, not just NFTs, but crypto,
everything.
Stocks, traditional equities, bonds, all that good stuff is just down bad right now. So we'll see. I usually consider this a sales day. This is when the market reacts in a very visceral action, and then we kind of move on throughout the month. So this is a time for sales, and we're starting to see them across the board in Solana NFTs, in Solana itself, and some of these SPL tokens. So we'll get into that as well. Hello, Papa Romeo. Nice to see you there. First viewer, first comment, winning. Absolutely. It is good to see you. So let's jump into it today, guys, because we got a lot to talk about. Let's give a little market update first. So throughout the whole weekend, we held 100K SOL volume. It was at 123K on Sunday. No major mints, no anything like that. This is a market that is holding itself up pretty well since the Utes mint, and I'm excited to see it. Utes wasn't even like one of the top traded NFTs. It was the top for a little bit, but it's been going back and forth with ABC and some other projects out there. So it's not just Utes anymore, right? Like we are being propped up by multiple projects, and it's good to see that it seems like it's sustainable right now. Even with the market kind of down bad, with CPI numbers coming out today, it looks pretty healthy. So Dorian, I want to kick it off to you. How are you feeling about the market right now?
Man, I'm feeling great about the market. I think Solana is in its own little microcosm. So we've seen this before where like, even though the macro economic situation is terrible, it's just like Solana still keeps on chugging. This happened back, I think in May during the last bull cycle, where it's like everything was crashing, but Solana's like, hey, we're going full steam ahead. So seeing this in the context of this in today's economic conditions isn't surprising. It's starting to turn to the point where it's like DAOs are reaching out to us to give us whitelist again. And I think that's a clear sign that the bull market's going on, because for that good 2-3 month period, it's like, if you want to mint, go ahead. There was no need for whitelist because it was nothing to that extent that necessitated it. So, man, it's like, regardless of what's going on in the macro sense, I'm still bullish on the Solana ecosystem, at least in the next short term.
Absolutely. Joe, how are you feeling about the market? What's going on with you?
Yeah, man. So I mean, I like the market. I think I like BTC and the overall market to run between September and November here. CPI was most traders knew that was coming. So we're seeing them kind of play a higher low, I think. So I don't think we're too bad right now. The supports we caught in the SPX look pretty decent. And then inversely correlated with Bitcoin, I think we have a good chance of having a decent couple months ahead of us. Like Dorian said, there's some those nuances, right? With like our echo chamber, at least with Solana NFTs, you see people starting to return to the bull with like DAO allocations and such. So yeah, that's funny, man. But yeah, I think honestly we've seen the worst of it, man. I think 20s for Solana. I think Bitcoin around that 18. I really truly believe that Pico bottom was kind of in, and we're going to start building up. Might be, another Black Swan event somewhere in November, December, but in the next couple of months, I'm looking up. I'm looking to
Absolutely.
accumulate basically on the lows, higher low, higher low, accumulate until we see a nice move.
Yeah. I think I'm looking at the same thing, just checking out the Bitcoin chart real quick. And I will go ahead and share my screen for anybody who is actually watching the YouTube video. But just checking out the chart real quick, as long as we kind of hold that 17 to 18K range, I'm pretty happy with the numbers we're at right now. We had a nice little run up, and then obviously, dude, this was a prior order, but I did not even just chart this or anything, and it was pretty much the local top right here. So I need to go back to trading more, dude. I don't know, like NFTs are just so fun to me that I kind of ignore some of the market sometimes, but dude, some of these charts are just holding up really well. And it's good to see. So Bitcoin holding that 17 to 18K range, I think we're going to be just fine. I would like to see, I'm really sad that Solana momentum just kind of stopped for a little bit. And man, this is another chart that just held up so well. I mean, if you look at that, I can zoom in real quick. I've been basically trading this range of buy down here, sell up here, and it literally hit right here. That was the rejection. So, I need to go back. I think this is actually going to be where a lot of funds is trading some of these bigger projects. So like the top 10 coins right now, there's a lot of liquidity going on. And, I've had a lot of fun lately trading SPLs, NFTs. I've been taking profits. I know you guys have too. On the last show, we did say that like, hey, this is good. We like seeing momentum, but don't forget to take profits. Like profit is profit. Liquidity is king right now. And you just want to make sure you have some powder on the side, dry powder, right? So make sure you are positioning yourself accordingly. Know that Solana NFTs are chugging right along. It looks like we stabilized at that 6-digit mark as far as 24-hour volume goes on Magic Eden. We are seeing good volume on 101 spaces. We kind of plateaued there for the past 7 days. We are sitting around 10K plus Solana volume, so it's good to see a healthy 101 market. We've seen some backing. We talked about Exchange Art getting a $3.2 million seed round. This is just really good for the ecosystem.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get more into fundraising later because I do have some thoughts on it, especially with, the article that came out from, was it Forbes? I think that, I think it was Forbes. And they talked about, Doodles raising an absurd amount of money. I'm pretty sure it's actually old news that we're just getting on Forbes, but the market responded to it. Like literally Doodles tweeted for the first time in 50 days and like 50 sales happened within like an hour.
Wow.
So it was crazy. But it's good to see because look, as much as we are pretty much Sol maxis, like I do dabble in ETH, but Sol is pretty much where my attention is. It's good to see the NFT market as a whole, like fundraising for that. I think it translates over to Solana NFTs.
Yeah.
So let's get into it though, because we do have some news that broke about MetaShield. So this is going to be where we spend, I'm sure, a majority of our time today because this is just a hot topic right now. In case anybody missed it, MetaShield is something that was developed by Magic Eden and Coral Cube, basically giving power back to the creators. And this is what the guys they're going under, in my opinion, is that it is going directly back to the creators. And like, yeah, we want to make sure that they're preserving royalties, and we believe that creators should have that power. And if you use a marketplace or trading or anything like that, we have something to detect it, to where if you're not paying the royalties, we basically freeze you. We give the creators the option to freeze or blur or whatever you want to do with that NFT until you pay that royalty amount. And then you don't get access to it. So it is a very, I'm so torn on it, dude. I have some hot takes. I have some not hot takes. I want to kick it over to you first, Joe. You saw the news. What do you think about MetaShield?
Yeah, so like you said, there's a few different ways to look at it. MetaShield in itself, I think, is first to market because they realize a lot of these internal ecosystems were trying to create it. So they kind of just threw it out there. They found Coral Cube, who has a nice UI, and they could kind of use their API as well and throw it in the mix. So, I mean, it's something that needed to be done. I think I like I guess I do like it. I like there's an option. There's an option for someone to take a plan of action against said NFT holder. But then again, it's a decentralized world, and that's why we all got into this market, to be decentralized, and that's kind of infringing on our decentralization rights. So it's like, man, it's the really the balance beam walk as an investor that I'm taking here. It's like I like centralization, I like decentralization, and there's that kind of the fine line in between. So it should be fun, honestly, as just breaking ground in the space to see how this really goes down.
Yeah. Dorian, what's your take on MetaShield? What we thinking?
Yeah, so
here?
I'm gonna have some spicy takes here.
Good.
So for me, it's like I think that this was inevitable. It's like if you're going to create marketplaces with 0% royalty fees, do you expect technology not to develop to the point that where it would give creators an option to exercise their ability to get some type of revenue from those that are traded? So it's that, like, so people being up in arms is this, it's like, why? It's like, you guys were all for innovation of these marketplaces. You should be innovation in the opposite way as well. But my thing is that I don't think NFTs are as decentralized as people would like it to be. It's like the team controls the image. They can change it at any time. Even more so, it's like everybody relies on the effort of the team to increase the floor price. So if you're relying on this group of people to increase the floor price, shouldn't they be at least paid in some way? And the way to do that is through royalties, man. So it's like, I'm not going to sit here and get mad at creators like, yo, we need this liquidity to keep working. But it's like, if you're benefiting from their efforts, the least you can do is tip them like 7%. So I'm not going to sit here and be mad about that or be up in arms about it. However, it's like, if you're a community run project, do what ABC did. Boom, no royalties. Easy clap, move on about your life. So nobody's forcing you to pay these royalties, and nobody's forcing creators to like uphold these royalties. It's an option that creators can use if they so choose to.
Yeah. Okay. I hear both of you guys. So it is really ironic that ABC came out when it did right before this all happened, because you know it claims that it wants to be the Bitcoin of NFTs. It wants to be immutable. There's 0% royalties. It's all listed on Magic Eden. There was no minting process. It was pretty much all fair, right? And HGE came out with a little bit of a thread saying, hey, the total NFT market cap for Solana NFTs is $1 billion. Magic Eden is $1.6 billion valuation. That is 60% more than the entire NFT landscape combined. If you don't see the problem here, then you need to read between the lines. And I would have to agree. So I love the fact that we are giving power back to creators, right? Like that premise, fine with me. I've always been big on rewarding people who came up with the art, came up with the concept, came up with the stuff that is actually bringing up the floor price and being a sound project. The problem is that most projects are not sound projects. They are not going to be here in a year from now. And when you're rewarding volume, there has to be a better model, right? And in my opinion, I think there's a way you can reward or align incentives better than what we're seeing with volume churn, right? We'll call it volume churn because we see it. We've talked about OK Bears, where they have fumbled the bag so many times, yet they still have $2 million or 2 million Solana in volume total. And that's without OTC deals or anything like that. They have a war chest and they couldn't even develop soft staking right. So it's like, I want to like this, right? I have so many problems with it, though. Is one, I think we can align incentives better. I'll get to that in a second. But the big one here is that Magic Eden is literally just trying to chokehold their monopoly on the market. That's to me, that is exactly what they're coming out to say, like, oh, we're doing this for creators, we're trying to be respectful to them. No, they're trying to make sure their stranglehold on the market is there. It is not loosening up any. And for me, that's where I have the problem with it, because one, they haven't really innovated anything. They keep launching these rugs. I mean, we saw DGen Town and everything that happened there, and they made a bag off of it. They don't care what happens after that. They made a bag. They made a bag on the minting process. They made a bag on the royalties, because they do get a percentage of the royalties from launching it on Magic Eden Launchpad. And if it rugs, they're like, oh, we're sorry. And everybody moves on with their time, right? Like, we have the attention span of squirrels here. So I think my problem is Magic Eden, right? I am fed up with Magic Eden. I think HGE is coming out with Hadeswap or Hadeswap, whatever we want to call it, is the pinnacle. That's where I think we are headed. So after all of this, he basically released a thread saying, creators, you can make sure that you have trading fees. Essentially, basically what you're doing is replacing Magic Eden by creating these liquidity pools, and they're decentralized, right? So you provide, a portion of your funds that you would have given to Magic Eden anyways with the launchpad fees, and you put up some NFTs, and you basically create a liquidity pool, and any trading fees that are incurred, you get those. So we don't have to make royalties so high. We also get to harness the trading fees that really you should be getting, instead of Magic Eden, who just created a website. Let's be honest. I mean, that is all they do. They created a website. They added some features every now and then, but they have done nothing innovative. It's just better than OpenSea, right? Like, that's the standard that they had to beat. It did not take much to do that. So for me, I think something like Hadeswap is the way forward. I don't like Magic Eden. I don't like that they're trying to make this disguise it as, oh, we're trying to be good guys, championing our creators. I think you should. I think we've always said that you should create a culture that rewards royalties, right? Like, they made your floor price go up. That's fine. I think moving forward to another model we could explore is that you get a percentage of profits. So if floor price goes down, like, hey, we need to work hand in hand with our holders to figure out how we get floor price up. And then we have also trading fees through Hadeswap or something like that. To me, there's like a multi-variable right there, where it's the trading fees on Hadeswap, plus we'll get a percentage of your profits because we helped you get there, right? The project itself is going to raise the floor price, and what we do is going to benefit you. I think that's how you pretty much, I think that's a better alignment of incentives, but I'd love to hear you guys' take on it. Yeah. We'll go with you first, Dorian.
Yeah, man. So I might be in the minority, but I don't think Magic Eden is that bad per se. I mean, yes, I think they need to scale back on the projects that they promote, but because they launch a project and it rugs, I don't think they should be held responsible for it. If they're providing tools for a launchpad, as long as they're getting paid, I don't think that's an issue. Tom is a bit different, so I'm not going to go into that. But with Magic Eden, I think they just don't need to start promoting these projects. I think that's where their issue is, because them promoting it gives these projects legitimacy. So I think that's the issue. Furthermore, regarding the misalignment of incentives regarding volume or whatnot, it's like, I do hold a certain responsibility towards the market. It's like, you have these sketchy projects that the market actively participates in. And it's like, if the creators are setting these royalties and the market's like, yeah, man, this is fine, then it's like, are we wrong for sitting here saying like this is wrong, when the market's like, this is fine? What are you guys talking about? Because we're going to degen anyway. So I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it should be this way. Well, right now the market doesn't deem so. The market's completely fine, regardless of how rationally irrational it is. It's like, I'm a firm believer that the market is always right, and me trying to go against that is like going against pretty much the majority vote.
That's fair. That's fair. Joe, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, it is what it is. The Magic Eden needs to be careful for sure, integrity wise, but obviously everyone's just going to keep using their platform because it's really the only thing out there to use and feel safe with. So kind of think they have a monopoly, which allows them to kind of do what they want. But I'm just hoping this one will incentivize a cooler structure for, basically giving back to the buyers and sellers who are using marketplaces that are rewarding creator fees, right? So like for example, I just bought a Gen 1 Taiyo for the first time, and I was rewarded by using ME with 2 whitelists for pilots, right, automatically for free. So there's little things like that to be like, all right, you can go buy off a yacht. I mean, it makes no difference as a buyer. You're not getting anything extra. But if you do use this one, I don't know what Magic Eden's going to do for you, but as a founder, I can do this for you. So like you said, right, Bison, aligning
Great point,
those,
Joe.
yeah. So aligning those parallels between a project and a buyer to really feel comfortable, like the founder hears you, I think is really important. So regardless of all the noise of secondary marketplaces, I think it's up to the founders to navigate through this water as well on their own rack.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
well said, man.
Yeah, well, very well said. I like that, Joe. I like that you're tying in. We shouldn't be like also, slapping these buyers, especially that's what worries me too, is like somebody who comes into the industry and is a buyer and has no like market knowledge, but he's like, I want a Taiyo, right? Like a Taiyo sounds like a really cool project, and they find their way onto y'all or something and they buy it. Then all of a sudden it's blurred out or something like that. It's like what just happened here? Why is this one blurred out and this one isn't? Well, this one's cheaper. I'm going to buy the cheaper one. And then they have to pay the royalties. Like, no, that should be on the seller, right? Like that's the seller is the one who is profiting off of this.
Exactly.
It's just, it opens up so many nuances that I just think and on top of that, dude, Magic Eden's doing this now. Like what happens? I saw a tweet that was such a good point. It was like, okay, in a utopian world, there's none listed, right? There's no volume. Everybody's diamond handed. They found the perfect community. Like nobody's selling. There's no volume. What's to stop Magic Eden taking this precedent and being like, well, look, we could add a monthly subscription model where in order to have access to it, like now we charge like a 1% of whatever that's worth monthly to have your access to your NFTs. And it is a very dangerous slope. I think Magic Eden is shooting themselves in the foot because Web3 MFers are like the smartest dudes ever. And they will find the way around it. They will find another standard. And if Magic Eden just continues to exert this kind of monopolistic power, then they're going to lose market share real quick. We've seen it on OpenSea. OpenSea has SudoSwap to compete with now, and SudoSwap took a lot of market share over there. A lot of market share over there. And we've seen X2Y2, I think, is the marketplace over there, super rare. I mean, like they have more now, and if you continue to exert this power, they're shooting themselves in the foot. So I just worry about standard setting. Really, I think that's like the big thing, and that Magic Eden has had such a grip on this market for almost a year now. I'm trying to think of when the fall of Solana art was, but they've really opened it up anyways. Solana art, I was just checking, almost 30K sold volume over the past 7 days. So look, they're just inviting competition at this point, trying to exert their monopolistic power. So I'm sure the market will adapt. It always does. And Mike Dorian said the market is always right. They will find a way around it. Magic Eden is treading on thin ice right there. And if they continue to upset buyers, well, creators are the lifeblood of this ecosystem, right? Like without creators, we have nothing to trade. That's it. But if you piss off buyers and people who are participating in the market, then you can have as many projects as you want. They could be the coolest thing in the world, but if you scaring off buyers, then that's on you. So I don't know. MetaShield just seems like not the right way to go about it. I think there could be some other solutions there that would be more alignment of incentives for everybody there. And dude, they're raking in so much cash. Magic Eden is so much cash. I mean, they've done 26.5 million in sold volume there, and they're taking 2% of everything. So they're making money hand over fist, $1.6 billion valuation. That there's something to be said there that they could make sure they just coast along and keep their market share rather than try to like enforce it. So that's my 2 cents, guys. Do we want any closing arguments on this? Because it is a hot topic, and I think people want to hear what we have to say.
Yeah, man. I voiced my opinion on it. I mean, I just think in the long run, the market will decide. It's like we'll have competing market forces to try to stem the flow of not being able to go zero place marketplace fees. But in the end, I'm sure that if a valuable competitor arises, people will adapt to that just like they did with Solana art. So I think it's just a matter of time until things settle down, and then we'll have a clearer idea of where the market's heading.
Right. Joe, anything else to say before we move on to Utes? Because it's not a stream without Utes.
Yeah, it's it's hard to tell because I mean you can look at it in an aspect like if I went and bought a laptop from somebody and that laptop I bought has, that person now, if they looked at porn on it, let's say, or something that's, not a great thing to watch for, the vast majority of people. Now, that say they have to go on Twitter or something and air themselves out in order to sell it completely to me for the right fit. I don't know. It's just getting very weird. It's like, I don't like putting parameters on a decentralized market, like I said. So I kind of like the anonymity factor of like, not, your privacy, my privacy. I'll buy it, you sell it. But, like Dorian said, it's getting to a point where it's these things are going to have to start happening. So we'll see, man. We will see.
Yeah, well said. All right, let's move on to Utes, because again, I think we haven't started this show without talking about Utes ever. We're 11 episodes in now, and we will always talk about Utes because there's always something to talk about with them. They're one of the biggest projects and the most hype mint we've ever seen, and you got to talk about Utes. So let's get into it. I know we had some FUD over the weekend. Dorian, I kind of want to hear from you because I pretty much disconnected over the weekend. It was nice to watch football again. It was nice to, it can touch grass. I had my friend's pup over and I was just watching them all weekend. So Dorian, if you have any insight on this Utes FUD that we've been hearing about, what do you got for us?
Yeah. So on Friday or Saturday, Utes or Frank released a little note saying that, hey man, it's like, we're going to take a break and delay the art release of Utes till sometime in September. And yes, delay as always. So people were up in arms about this. They were saying that the art's not ready yet. It's like Frank and the team have no idea what they're doing, and they're just fudding this project to all heck. The interesting thing that I saw is like, I think it was around 145, 150 sold floor price. And then it crashed down to about lowest, about 115. But the people that were primarily selling were Ute list holders and DAO list holders. So it's like, I just think a lot of this FUD on Twitter was being caused by people in order to shake paper hands out of their position, because they know whenever this art reveal does come around, the floor price is going to pump to around 160, 170 potentially. Easy. You can even see it now. And I think the floor price is stable around 127. So it's just like the market is so short-sighted and is so easily manipulated that sometimes bad actors take advantage of this. And if you look at the sell list, you know which Utes are being sold, whether they're from Ute list holder or DAO holders, because anything labeled, I think 10K plus numbered is from that area, while anything 999 below are DeGod holders. Overwhelmingly, DeGod holders are not selling. Yeah, you'll see a couple here and there just taking profit. But if the core community still believes in Frank, why are you being shooken, dog? So it's like, you really need to be careful about who you listen to, who you follow, what news sources you trust in this space, because it's like people may be taking advantage of your fear in order to gain a better position for themselves.
Okay, gotcha. Joe, what do you think about this? What's going on with Utes? What can we get art now, please? Art.
You know what? Listen, let me be straight up with you guys. So yeah, I mean, this is it's not a good look initially, right? At the end of the day, there's so many delays, and for a staking site mechanism, all these things should have been tested on DevNet, should have been out, ready to go. This is how I feel about all technology. I don't like putting things in place and fixing it on the way. I truly like just putting it there. If you need a patch, then you patch it. But in this case, I truly know that it's innovative things that have never. It's first to market here what they're building in Solana. So the devs, they're basically making magic out of a black space, right? They're putting stars into the black night for us. So I understand that, and I've seen Scuba, I've seen Scum, I've seen all these guys in chat, all these artists, Delilah, and they're nonstop with this art for the past 4 or 5 months. So I think they want it out just as bad as we do. And like Dorian said, yeah, there's going to be some emotional market makers who are selling their Utes for $3,000 plus gain, which is fine. Go get your money. But when this comes out again, everyone's going to forget the FUD. They're going to forget this and that. They're going to be going crazy with the art, and volume's going to go insane. I mean, we're already sitting at 100K minimum now. I can't even imagine. It's probably going to be 250 or above. So, I mean, it is going to blow up again. It's just it's delayed gratification, right? It's just an immature investor's paradigm market that we're in, and we all know it. So it's just funny to see where money will trickle and then FOMO back in. So we've been here though. So you gotta stake your place, and you gotta have some conviction, especially with a tube, So yeah,
Yeah.
that's where I'm at.
Yep.
That's fair. That's fair. I will say, Dory, I actually just went to scope the page because you're right. It has normally been DAO and Ute listers and stuff like that have been selling, but 15 of the first 24 I'm seeing on Magic Eden right now are DeGod numbers. So that's something I haven't seen. Like you said, I mean, it has been mostly Ute listers that have been selling or trading or whatever they're doing with it. But I'm seeing a lot more DeGod. So no FUD there. I think people are just kind of waiting
Taking
to
profit.
see what happens. Yeah, I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with taking profit. People might just be like, yeah, we want to see if it go higher pre-reveal. We're going to sell before reveal happens just to make sure we lock some in, and that's that. I don't see any problem with it, but this is the first time I've actually seen any DeGods take profit. So
yeah, I think if the listings are pretty much at an all-time low too, they're around 260. So people are definitely accumulating no matter the selling going on.
Exactly.
So
yeah, it's dude, 15K collection with only 260 listed. That's insane. So
it's insane.
Look,
I'm like,
don't be flooded out of your bags. I think that's
almost 400,000 volume. This is crazy. It's going to be like the top 5 traded ever on ME. I mean, it's super crazy. But I mean, we've already seen the liquidity, what it's done for our market, and just the liquidity fash of Utes. Wait till we see the liquidity start happening when people are starting to trade their tubes 2-3x because of the art, right? So now you're really going to see even more liquidity come in, even more projects feed and eat off of that. Now we have to be careful though, like Dorian said, like we said with Magic Eden and all these shit projects are going to come to Storm to grab that liquidity and leave the market very quickly, right? It happens every time we see a pump. We see these shit projects come in, DAO oversubscribed everywhere, whitelist allocations. They take the money, they rug, and they're out. So let's be really like as an ecosystem, let's actually stand on our forefront here and get this volume in and really build and give it back to creators that care. So man, I'm excited, but I'm also nervous because there's a fine line with the liquidity that's in the market right now. People can start stealing it like they've done before, or they can actually, work for it and for it to stick around and help us out. So we should see. We shall see.
I think that we will see like some of this liquidity start flowing into solid projects. And Bison, you tweeted this out a while ago, but like how the meta trends usually go, it's like usually the bull market starts, OG projects get the pump. Then after that, it rotates and I forgot what else you said, but then eventually go to the mint meta. Then from that, it's like you hit the bear market, then you got your gambling meta, mid bear market because people look at something to do. So these things are going in cycles, and we're already seeing the OG cycle come back around. That's clear why Lotus Gang's pumped. So I think, and then DGen Apes also pumped. I think they're like at an 80 soul floor now. So I'm looking to bet right now on undervalued OG projects. Shout out to Cyber Samurai. Shake just got back. So I talked to him yesterday. He has a whole bunch of amazing stuff planned that I think is really going to attract a lot of people to. But back to the main point, I do think that this liquidity is going to start to flow into solid projects.
Yeah, 100%. No, I'm of the same opinion, and we'll get into some sales later. If you guys stick around to the end of the show, we will have some alpha for you guys. That there's a lot of projects on sale right now after the CPI numbers came out, after we seen some liquidity kind of rotate. So there is plays to be made. Last show, we kind of talked about it. There's very few plays that I was eyeing. I'm mainly taking profit, and it proved to be okay. Now I think we're back in a nice buy range where there's a lot of uncertainty in the market that we saw from the CPI numbers coming out, and that's good. You take advantage of that. So there is a big project that pumped, Lotus Gang, like Dorian mentioned, that is coming out with Lily here soon. That is capital Lily. Do not do it lowercase. You will get roasted by the Lotus Gang community. But Lily NFT is coming out. We saw it pump up to almost 25 soul. At one point, it did retrace a little bit, but we are back at 17.8, which for me, if I'm looking at a chart right now, not financial advice. None of this on this show is financial advice. I just want to remind everybody about that. But it looks like a pretty good buy zone. It retested 17.8, which was the previous all-time high. And if it holds there, that could be a nice point of entry for people that do want exposure to Bungeal, which I think this project is going to do numbers. Bungeal is a very talented artist. The previews we've gotten on Lily are incredible. It reminds me a lot of this artist that is upcoming on Form Function, a little bit of 1-1 alpha for you guys. Techtober, Tektober. Stuff's been going for under 10 Sol. Really good stuff too. I love Techtober's stuff. Alina is very talented. So the artwork is incredible. It's something we've never seen before on Solana personally, like outside of the one-on-one space. So I do think this is going to do numbers. And like Dorian said, these OG projects are definitely going to get a nice rotation into them. We've seen Taiyo do really well. Obviously Soulport has an incredible vision. Joe bought into them recently. I will be buying into them here soon, I'm sure. But look, it's that time of year where we saw DGen Ape. I know Dorian just got one of those. Lotus Gang pumping. I really do think Cyber Samurai is just primed and ready. Yep. And this is not financial advice, but holy crap, yep. After this year, I don't think we see single digit Cyber Samurai ever again, right? Yep. It just won't happen to me.
As the community manager for Cyber Samurai, I'm telling you, I talked to Shake yesterday. We had like a 3-4 hour meeting, Doug, and I'm so bullish for what he has coming. So right now, I think is a great buying point. But after we start implementing what we've talked about, I don't think we're seeing single digits again.
Yeah, I would have to agree. There's some other projects too that look good, especially after a retracement. We'll get into them, later in the show. But Joe, I know that you were talking about getting some Cyber Samurai.
Oh, yeah.
Is that still the case?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. And I may or may not have already gotten to.
Okay. Well, if you may or may not need help finding your grail, I can help out with that. I'm
actually going. I didn't want to post it until we talked about it on the show because just to give people a chance. But yeah, so I found one that I loved. Then I'm gonna try. I'll always get two no matter what. So I grabbed another one off floor. But yeah, I mean, I've been bullish on Shake since I've been in the space, listening to him talk on spaces that I've been in. He's DM'd me himself. He's a super smart, cunning guy. He's very articulate and he's innovative. And obviously he has Dorian and he builds this team with actual people in the space that are not just, who knows what moderator you have, this and that. Like he takes time to curate his team, which I really appreciate. Bison, I mean, all these guys, man. So yeah, I mean, I'm super uber bullish just from the fundamental fact of the person he is and not even the ecosystem because I haven't even delved into it yet. So yeah, super excited and thankful that you guys have letting most of us get this knowledge before the masses, So definitely.
Yeah, no, for sure. It is really fun to see. And I think Cyber Samurai is a great example. Lotus Gang too, because I love some of the people that are undervalued and underappreciated in the community. Romeo Please is probably one of the funniest dudes on Twitter. I don't know if anybody follows him, but he's a big Lotus maxi. And dude, it's the same thing with Cyber Samurai where, I mean, our group chat is popping off with some of the smartest people in the space, people who are actually doing stuff. We just got J Shep, Proteon, some of Saigo keeps shilling the good word to all his friends. They're good people too. We had 252 come in and he's with Cyberfrog. So dude, just a lot of good people. And it's really funny when you build that foundation. I think Utes is doing, but on a bigger scale because they had the Ute list and whatnot. But when you build that good foundation, good people know good people, right? Like you are the byproduct of the 5 people you're closest with, and you start shilling into them, they start getting in. Well, they're going to shill it to the 5 people they know. So it's just creating a web of really talented people. Obviously, Shake, look, I know he's not going to do anything. And he even came out and said it. He's like, dude, I'm not doing any mid-tier ideas anymore. I'm not just playing the meta or anything. If it doesn't break the internet, I don't want it. So it's that Mamba mentality that we see with Frank, that's what really sets a project up. And it goes back to that whole thesis we have with MetaShield. Dude, we understand that NFTs aren't completely decentralized, right? That we say DAO, it is not a DAO. It is not a decentralized autonomous organization, right? That is not, when we say DAO, it's basically a Discord group, a Telegram, or a Twitter DM, right? So we haven't reached DAO levels yet. We don't have the infrastructure to actually support a DAO on most levels, like the governance or anything like that. So we are building it. I think we're in Web 2.5. I know we always make the Web 2, Web 3 jokes and stuff like that. We're getting there, right? I think NFTs have the foundation and set up to be more decentralized in the future. And we're going to see it with this market. These are the kind of catalyst events that are just going to move us forward into the actual more decentralized future that we kind of envision for NFTs and everything in between. So I love it. I do think Cyber Samurai, great pickup. I think 5.5 is FUD. I said it before Remnants took off where 5 is FUD. I say the same thing for Cyber Samurai. I think Cyber Samurai is a great buy right now. One of the best PFPs on Twitter. Whenever I see a Cyber Samurai PFP, it just stands out, dude. It's so unique. It's just really good artwork. I know we have a really talented artist on hand. We have really talented devs as well. So excited to see the future for it. I'm done shilling Cyber Samurai because it's not a shill show, but do think, look, just if I'm remaining completely agnostic and I'm looking at a chart, it looks prime for a pump. And I think after the CPI, sale that we're having, there's a lot of other projects out there too, but it's definitely up there.
Within the meta.
It does. It fits definitely with our thesis of where funds are going to cycle to. So, Joe, I'm excited to have you into the community.
Me too,
let us know when you I guess you officially bought them, so we can get you into the
I'm about to after this I'm gonna hop into Discord. I gotta walk my dog after the show, hop into Discord, and I'm gonna make a cool little tweet. I'm excited.
Yeah, let's get out.
We'd love to have you in, man.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I do want to talk real quick about, so this is old news. It just got published on Forbes, so I think that's why we're seeing a lot of pump from it. But the Doodles news where they raised 54 million. It just brought it up to my attention again because it wasn't relevant by the time we started the show. But this is one of the reasons, I've been telling projects that want to fundraise to not be the first movers yet in Sol. Let some of these projects that are they're gonna start out small. They're giving up a lot of equity for the amount they're raising. 3.2 for exchange art. Well, that's a little more fair because, one-on-one art is always going to be less volume than generative art. So that's fine. I don't mind it so much. I think Dust Labs honestly sold themselves short with 7 million. I think if they waited until Utes came out and I think they developed more stuff with Dust, I think they could have got more money. This is what people are like, oh yeah, they raised 7 million. I'm like, 7 million, bro. Doodles raised 50 something million, valued at $704 million.
I don't know how they got the 700 million evaluation.
I don't either.
I'm actually looking into it now, and I mean, just off the base, right? 10,000 collection. You got what? It's how much ETH? 2 ETH for one, or 10 ETH for one? How much is it for one doodle?
It's 8 ETH. It's 8.
So it's 8 ETH. So you're looking at roughly 120 million evaluation just off the base value of the NFT itself. But it doesn't really add anything IRL utility wise or anything brand new that someone can VC off. I don't understand it. That's crazy. You said, right? What's 7 mil when Ethereum projects aren't doing diddly shit and getting 700 million, almost $1 billion evaluation? So I feel that, Bison, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even I guess you could also say Pharrell is the creative director on there, and they're betting that he can leverage his network to bring additional value to it. So that's the thing that I would bet that might have helped that out.
Oh, for sure. No, they got the names. I will say Doodles. Look, I haven't really been bullish on Ethereum NFTs since end of last year. So to me, it is crazy. I think they already hit their ceiling. You know what I mean? For me, just what Ethereum can do and moving forward. Maybe the merge does something. Maybe they integrate stuff down the road that, I know they have layer 2s, Matic's popping off right now, Mutable X. When you look at NFT volume, that you see a path forward, but right now, just the speed of implementation on Solana is just so greater. And when I see that we have flipped Ethereum on transactions, users, and volume now, at least on the 24, we still have a while to sustain that, to show that we can sustain it. That's when that's not priced in yet. When you go through these valuations, to me, that's not priced in. So I look at this Doodles news. Again, it's older news, so we didn't see the flippening happen just yet, but that's where we're heading with these Solana NFT projects. If Doodles can do that, why not us, right? Yeah. So I see 7 million that we're raising for Dust Labs, which is the top project on Solana right now is DeGods. And I'm like, man, they might have sold themselves short just a little too early. I'm not sure how much equity they gave up. Something was said about 50%. Joe, you might be able to inform us a little more on that, but
10%. 10%.
Was it 10? Okay,
Yeah, only
10% is a lot
10%.
more reasonable.
And
Okay,
then
yeah, that's
it was
reasonable.
50% in the of the 10% equity, 50% in dust, 50% within the D labs.
Okay.
So
Okay. That
which
makes a lot more sense.
it leaves a humongous door open, right, to come back and get more VC funding for
Yes.
another 10% valued at 30 mil, 40 mil, right? So like for sure though, like you said, but I still think they jumped the gun a little bit. I think
Well,
they
you got to
jumped the
start somewhere. So
And
that makes sense to
that's
me.
true. But you should have everything laid out already, right? If they had everything laid out, the rarity website, the staking, the boom, 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 that all lays out. And within that downtime, you do your 6-week rolling stop for funding during that. So your 6-week rolling stop ends right after everything's done. Marketplace is going, Utes is out, people are trading it, staking. Then your rolling stop ends at the end of that because you allow the VCs to go, holy shit, this is huge. And I still have time. I still have another 2 weeks. It's a rolling stop. I'm good. I see how this plays out. All right, I want this much more. I want this allocation. And so I think, like you said, 2020 hindsight, I get it. It's all right. But there's chances for, like you said, Solana NFTs to really move. I think that's just the stepping stone.
Yeah, I'm of the huge opinion that if you are giving off any more than 10% of equity right now, you are absolutely shooting your project in the foot for what is you're giving VCs all the multiples right there, right? If you want to open up 10%, that's fine. You get a bunch of money. I'm like, 7 million is nothing to scoff at. You can do a lot with 7 million, right?
Yeah.
So building something out with that 7 million to then by the end of it, like let's say a year from now, you see everything they built out. And they're like, holy crap, this is not 7 million. This is 70 million, right? Like that's what we should have been given for this 10% equity. Sweet. I mean, that's how VCs work, right? You get in early, the earlier you get. And if you actually hit on it, then you hit massive multiples on a large sum of money that is pretty liquid, right? Like you can find an investor pretty quick for that stuff. So it is good. That's
Agreed.
Nice to know, Joe. This is why I love coming on this show and talking with you guys, because I heard 50% equity. I was like, you're joking.
No, it is. Yeah, it's joking, right? So that's what I first heard too, and I couldn't believe it. And I had to get into the AMAs myself and be like, guys, can we take a step back and really pinpoint how much equity we gave? Because if we gave 50% for 7 mil, we got to rethink a lot of things,
Yeah.
So no, I think the 10% was solid. I think they have a lot of smart people on their team, and I think, what's better than just speculation and having fun and talking about stuff before it comes out? I mean, that's all we're doing. We're all going to be buying and trading Utes and loving life, but it's just fun to talk about.
For sure. That's it for fundraising for me, because that just brought up a really good point that I didn't get to talk about earlier. Now that it's older news, so don't react to it. Don't be like, oh, Doodles is going to pave the way, bro. They didn't tweet for 50 days. They haven't had communication. People were getting up in arms. And I think that's definitely the differentiator between the culture we've cultivated over here in Solana, which is a good and bad thing. Sometimes people are like, we haven't had an announcement in a day. Like, this project is rugging right now. It's like, bro, are you kidding?
It's been 30 minutes since the last announcement.
Bro, it's like, dude, they have to take 2 hours to craft a good announcement that is net neutral, but also talking really good about the stuff, but weaponizing anticipation. Like, there's a lot that goes into a good announcement. It is. Yeah. And they have to take time to do that.
Would you imagine Apple tweeting at us every 2 minutes about the new iPhone 14 that was coming out for 2 years, right? And and if we don't hear for a week, we're like, they're rugging. Apple's I'm selling
Apple's a rug
right now. It's just
something's coming.
It's just that's the immature investor's paradigm. Like, guys, you want your NFT community, your ecosystem to build an IRL brand and all right, you got to have conviction, you got to hold it and be a part of that. You're a pillar as well. Think of you like 10,000 pillars. 1 or 2 getting knocked out, it's okay, but everybody fudding and it brings the project down quickly. So you got to think about that. We're still so young that you have to literally look at yourself when you're holding an NFT and you want it to grow as a column, right? As a piece of solidification for that team. So you have a job as well, and your psyche and what that energy you're putting out is not helping anybody, especially if it's not constructive and you're just doing it to throw shade. So for sure,
it's true. I mean, there's so many good points you brought up there, Joe. It'll come with time as we continue to mature as a market. I'm excited to see what happens with Solana NFTs. This, to me, the reason I want to bring up Doodles is because that's where we're headed, and that is so exciting to me, because I think where Doodles, unless they jump ship to one, they're going to have to do more Web 2 stuff over at Ethereum, right? Like they're going to have to actually put out physical product. They're going to have to make the cartoon show. I know they were talking about gaming, music, cartoon possibly. To me, it's just a pastel ripoff of Adventure Time. But that's just my 2 cents, not trying to flood anybody's bag. But that's why, I looked at Doodles and I said, that's cool. Personally, I like it better than Bored Apes, I see a more growth with Doodles than I do Bored Ape. It's more of a broader appeal, right? But it is more the Adventure Time. Like we did not evaluate Adventure Time at $700 million conglomerate when they first released. Maybe now, but that's after like they had seasons and seasons of the show and everything in between. They haven't even started that with Doodles. So I think, valuing that right there, you might be valuing it at the top. So I don't know. But let's get into the favorite part of the show. I know everybody's favorite part of the show. Let's talk some alpha because, man, we are seeing red across the board. And when we see red, we know there's blood in the street. And that gets us excited, right? That gets us excited to possibly buy, see some entries. And I'm seeing some juicy ones right now. So one, Joe, I want to kick it over to you real quick. Let's get your thoughts on anything you're looking at right now. What are your thoughts on the market and your investment thesis going forward for, let's say, the month of September?
Yeah, for sure. For strictly NFTs, Bison?
It could be anything. Go anything, dude.
So I am definitely looking to start adding a swing long on Bitcoin. Okay. Probably around the 21.75 range. And then within that, I'll play and try to build some swing positions off of some altcoins that I know are going to run the course. That being said, for Solana NFTs, I'm stacking. Well, I'm trying to get blue chips. So my DeGods, I got the Utes, I got the Taiyos. Now my idea is to go what will be next blue chips and stack those, right? Especially with Sol back down around the 35 mark, 34 mark. Now it's my time to load again. I'm looking, Cyber Samurai already snacked up. I actually was looking at Lily. I'm looking at, Lotus Gang to try to get Lily. I'm looking at DGen 8. I'm still looking at some of these undervalued blue chips or soon to be blue chips to throw in my bag and watch the inevitable run up because I think Solana has a chance of hitting $50 again within the next couple months, right? And what's better time than seeing people FOMO into blue chips that you got at 34? Might be the same soul value at that time, but people, I'm telling you tonight, they're going to be paying a lot more money to get into that project. So that's my mindset. And let's try to see if it works out here. But I think we all do a good job of front running the masses. So we shall see.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Dorian, what's your thoughts? Yeah. What are you looking at right now?
So I'm looking at 3 different things, man. First, scrap. Tile pilots are still on the horizon. We saw scrap run up from, I think, $1 to I think it hit $1.50. So it's pulled back to, I think, $1.05 now. So I still think it's an amazing play. I have not traded it at the top. I've just been accumulating because my thesis is still in play. When pilots comes around, scrap is going to pump hard. So I'm just picking up as much as I can until then. Because from this point, I'm looking at least a 2.5 to 3x, being honest. In terms of NFTs, Cyber Samurai. We've been talking about it all day on the show. I just want to disclose, I do own a ton of Cyber Samurai, and I'm the community manager. I've been with the project since mint, essentially, and it's one of the projects I'm most bullish on. Shake just got back from handling some personal stuff, had a long meeting with him yesterday about going forward. I'm just a little bit of alpha. He's talking to some of the most well-known people in Solana right now about what's going to happen in the next phase of Cyber Samurai. And when he starts talking about this, it's gonna be crazy. It's like no fade against Lotus Gang, but we're gonna give it a run for its money.
Right.
My last on my list, but not least, is bubblegoose. It's criminally low right now. It should be outlawed in 50 states to be listed at 5 Sol. Carl Jones just came out with an article on BET magazine about him and the project. Nobody else can do that as a founder, man. It's like the fact that this dude has so much connections, it's like I'm not even bothered about floor price right now. I'm just accumulating, dude. Just accumulating because it's only a matter of time before this thing pops off. It's going to take one small announcement before this thing goes parabolic, man. So those are the 3 things I'm bullish on right now.
Yeah, for sure. No, I completely echo those sentiments. Obviously, let me break it into tiers right now. So if I'm chasing a blue chip right now, I already have Utes. I wouldn't be buying into Utes right now. I would kind of wait for post reveal and see if you can snag a common. I'm targeting somewhere. I think that's when you start seeing standard deviation in prices, right? Like those rares are going to go for, upwards of 1,000 soul almost. And then you can see like some of those commons probably go for like 80 is kind of my idea of a trade thesis right there. So if you have a tube and you want to play the game, like I'm not releasing my tube at all because I won't sleep right if I mint a mythic and I accidentally fumbled the bag. And I'm willing to take that, let's say it's a 33% decrease from where it is right now. That's fine with me. I'm all right with that. But if I'm targeting a blue chip, I like Taiyo. Taiyo right now for me, it's just like the safest bag you can possibly have. I think there's so much coming out for it. I think graphite is going to blow everybody away. So for me, I'm not even trying to get a Gen 1. I thought about it for a while. I think if I'm going to target the Taiyo ecosystem, I am going to get an infant and probably just hold on to it so I have exposure to it. I am going to get some oil as well. And I'm going to get scrap. Those are my 3 plays right now. Gen 1 does seem really cool, but I think I want more liquidity on hand to make sure I'm capturing any of these multiple plays. We have in my long-term bag, the lower, like super underappreciated in their floor price right now. You already mentioned bubblegoose. Man, I cannot be more bullish on the long-term vision of bubblegoose. For me, I'm fine holding that for a year, right? Like anything that happens in between is totally fine with me. And I'll just let, people get shucking out from it. I think Cyber Samurai, obviously we talked about it. I don't need to talk about it anymore. Shake's goated. Remnants, obviously, again, I hold all of these. So, I'm not trying to pump my bags. These are like, I at least have a 6-month time horizon on all of these. Like if I have to parcel on the way, let's say Cyber Samurai shot up to 100, like, I'm going to sell probably like 3 of them at least, just so I can cover and then get massive profit too. Like I'm fine saying that because
that's what you should do.
That's fine. We expect everybody in the audience to do the same.
The team needs to eat. The team needs to eat. That's the only way a team will eat, right? Is new guys coming in, old people leaving, and hopefully the old people leaving aren't leaving fully. They're still keeping, some allocation, and man, you can't beat that.
No. So it's the same thing.
You held during the build. You were the column. Now your column taken away will be replaced by another strong. Like that's just how good teams build, and that's the healthy way of taking profits, not undercutting or shilling and selling right away. Like no, that's awesome, but
not my style, dude. I will always say it. I mean, now that we have Hello Moon too, dude, you can see if I'm ever being dishonest with that stuff. Like you will see it on the social feed. They have my big wallet that I trade mostly from, but they don't have 4 of my wallets. That's not an invitation to find those out. Hello Moon, please don't scam me. But yeah, so like some of those are like, I just don't want to move markets on some of those plays because now we do have somewhat of a following, and like I do have to be we have to be careful with some of the stuff. So
that's a good point, Bison. Like especially when I mention things, I have a pretty long time horizon, and like I'm pretty transparent. It's like if I do hold a project or not. And if you're ever curious, just hit us up. None of us have an issue telling, hey, we already purchased this. We have X amount of this. So it's like we're not trying to use you guys as exit liquidity. That's the last thing that we want.
Right. No, it's true. Another one that I'm actually adding to my bag. I didn't think I would. I was going to be fine with just holding 2 of them, but bot heads, dude, I've been talking with Papa Moo Moo. I think we'll have him on the show at some point, but what they're doing, I've been big on. So an investment thesis of mine is obviously been big on the 1-on-1 space, big in generative, anything that's crossing over the gap. So, with Cyber Samurai, it has been, they have their 1-on-1 legendary auctions. I love seeing that. They're big on 1-on-1. Dude, we have some Gigabrain 1-on-1 people. Guitar is definitely coming through with some alpha now that we have J Shep also coming through with some 1-on-1. Yeah, some everybody loves fellas right now. I love collections that are bridging the gap. We've already talked about Divine Dogs. I'm gonna hold it until we start seeing what's happening there. Somebody just swept 5 of them. I was checking to see if I can get another one that was lower, but if you aren't buying Lotus Gang, that's okay. From what I know, they do have 6,000 that they're going to do on public mint. So it's going to be a 10K collection. There's 4K Lotus Gang. Therefore, subtract it out. You got about 6K for public allocation. We'll see what they do in order to get those spots. Or if it's just going to be like hey, we're doing it on Soulport or something like that. We're going to mint there. But I think another reason I'm bullish on Bothead, I just heard some rumblings, but they're going to be handling the Lily whitelist management. So there could be some alpha there. They are dropping something with Proteon, as far as their addition goes. You had to have, dude, it was like 15 bot heads or something like that in order to be guaranteed one. I don't have 15. I don't plan on grabbing some, but dude, I love the community over there. They're good people. I'm trying to think of other ones that are in my bag. Bubblegoose, we already talked about. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. There's some SPL plays going on right here. We're seeing some sales. If you didn't get in on Shadow when I called it, guess what? It's right back at basically our entry. So you have that shot again. I do think that Shadow has a long-term future, and that isn't something like Scrap where I think Scrap pumps quicker. Shadow is going to be a longer grind up. So if that's more of a medium-term SPL
that's like
play,
a 1 to 2 year play. I feel like you can feel safe with that horizon with Shadow for sure. Yo, I love like you guys. I have to run to get my dog to the vet. That's COVID brain still.
All right, man. You're good.
Love you guys. Stoned Ape crew as well, guys. Talk about Payleaf. That's really cool shit. I love you guys. Always.
Have a good one, dog. Happy you're back.
Love you guys very much.
Love you.
All right. Have a great day.
All right. That's that about does it as far as what's in my bag right now. You know, we have those SPL plays. Scrap is a huge one. Dude, Dust now at 1.4. Honestly, they're going to have stuff planned for it. I would say instead of like chasing a short-term pump like we saw, dude, I sold the remaining bag at 3.75. I didn't buy the exact amount back. I did buy a good bit back at 3.1, so I'm underwater on it. But the remaining profit I have from it, I'm actually looking to possibly, it's going to be a mix of Scrap and Dust with those profits. So that, I think that's what I'm looking at, and then I'm adding to my shadow bag. Those are the three big SPL tokens that I think have a very long-term future that I feel very safe holding.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, man. I picked up Shadow when you first said it. It's like whenever I pick up something, I always have a multiple exit point. And if it's not hitting that, it's like I feel like the 25 or 24 entry point was so low that it's like it's very little downside with a lot of upside. So I'm just holding until I reach my multiple point, and then I'll bounce. So in the in between of ups and downs, I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah, 50 to 55 was always my take profit point where I'm de-risking. And after that, I just let my shadow bag ride out because I do think there's a long-term future there. So that about does it for my bags right now. I do want to talk about mints too, because I brought up bot heads because I think that if we continue to see this volume, mint meta is coming back at some point. And I do think there's some really cool projects coming on the horizon. We talked about Maxim World a few times now. MXXN WRLD, ran by Daimler. I think that's a really good project. We see that if you want a nice indication of where a project is going, if they're doing one-of-one art, you can see where it's headed. So we've seen the one-of-ones for Maxim World go for about 20 SOL, which is really good for one-of-one art that just came on. It's really cool art. It's trying to be the Wikipedia of Sol, trying to like have a whole history of Sol and everything like that. So I think that's really cool building, we've seen it with Yord, building reviews out and kind of rewarding people for reviewing. So it's a cool concept. Iron Paw Tribe is Adam Ape's project. That is going to be a big one. He's a big one-on-one artist. He came up with Voxel Monkeys that did insane numbers. The last one sold for about 860 SOL. So we want to see what indication of where a project's going. We see it there. Transcendent Dogs with Divine Dogs. We probably see some money there. We've seen some sweeps as far as Divine Dogs go. We called it out around 4 SOL. It is now at 10 SOL. Did hit about 14 SOL at one point. So, congrats to everybody who got in when we called it. Dude, there's so many other good ones. Lily, we've talked about Lily there. Underground Society, we just had Light Up.
Light On.
Bodega Buddies, also a big one, and Critters Cult. Those are the ones that I have on my list right now that I think are going to do numbers if we continue to see this volume. So, Dorian, do you have anything else as far as that goes?
No, man. I still think there's this overarching one-of-one meta that's either it's here and it's going to pop off soon, especially if this market continues. So like just having some exposure to like Proteon and High Blinks or any other, and any other well-known one-of-one artist in this space is going to do crazy numbers, man. And also the fact that these one-of-one artists are doing special editions for projects and also redoing their art, super bullish. Just another little piece of alpha. Cyber Samurai has been talking to some notable one-of-one artists in this space that are going to do some cool pieces for us that we're going to be giving out to the community in some way. So just a little piece of alpha there. But yeah, man, I'm not huge on the mints, but I am bullish on Underground Society because Light's on that team and Bodega Buddies. I mean, it's easy. Don't ever fade easy. That's setting yourself up for failure.
Right.
But yeah, man, that's all that I have on my end.
Yeah, 2 quality people, and the rest were pretty much quality artists or people who have been well connected in the community that are undervalued. So those are the ones I'm bullish on. We will start seeing silly mint season as well. We've been seeing some, ABC derivatives have been like popping up like it's nobody's business. Be careful with those. I've already said it once. I'm going to say it again. Do not be gambling too hard on those. Make sure you have take profits if you're going to trade them, but they're being wash traded aggressively. So just keep in mind, you could be holding the bag after it's done and be somebody's exit liquidity. So that about does it, Dorian. I think we've covered everything we want to on this show. It was a good one. We're a little over the hour mark for the first time. So I will take it right where we have it. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. For everybody who tuned into the show, whether you're on Twitter or YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and plug us one more time at BisonTrades on Twitter. You can follow Dorian at Dorian_W, and that is a 3 instead of an E, and at JoeSoul212. Make sure you follow Dorian's YouTube channel. You can find him, Dorian. You just search Dorian NFT, you'll pop up. If you search Taiyo Robotics, guess what? He's the #1 video now. I searched that the other day. So I think the pilots is going to be real good for his channel. I'm happy to see him popping off. And yeah, we do stream. We have our own RareFUD Radio account on Twitter at RareFUD Radio. Make sure to follow us on all the socials. That's where we get more immediate thoughts out. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate everybody tremendously. So that about does it for us. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next show Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.